I mean, I'm getting so booked in 2022. It's ridiculous, and I have a speaking business too, which is I got 2 speeches in January, one in February. I got one in March, and it's booked through the year. And the speech thing, you know, it's an inspirational thing I do. It's about teamwork. I got it from when I wrote my autobiography, Sex, Drums, Rock and Roll, and I started speaking, and then I hooked up with an agent. He kind of guided me on how to become a really good speaker. And I mean, it's taken, I'd say, 6-7 years to really, just like drumming, like anything. You want to be good at something,
right?
Got to put in the time. I call it RPS. Repetition is the preparation for success in anything. And I've crafted it and honed it, and it's definitely defines down to like 52 minutes. I mean, I know exactly how long it's going to be. Integrated with playing, because the whole thing is like, look, people are going to come, they want, if I went and saw Magic Johnson speak, right? He's got like 60 corporations or something. I just want him to dribble the ball.
Right.
I mean, all I can think is basketball. If I'm going to speak about teamwork, I mean, they want me to play.
Right.
I'm a drummer that's played, recorded 300 million records sold, and played with everything from the Highwaymen to the Pumpkins to Avril Lavigne to Celine Dion to Rod Stewart to Elton John. I mean, it's all over the place. They want to play some of those songs, so I play. But there's teamwork in everything.
But you work it all together.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about innovation and creativity. I mean, problems are solved with innovation and creativity in every business. People come up with solutions to problems.
Yeah.
That's how we have electricity. That's how we have gas. That's how we have airplanes. Creativity solves problems that changes the world. And I remember Mellencamp walked in once after we'd already had a lot of success, and he was doing more and more business, and he threw down a whole carton of, a box of LPs from the 60s, 70s, 80s. He goes, learn what made these songs hits. And he said, look, I write the same songs over and over again. You guys got to come up with creative and innovative ideas to make these songs hits, to get on the radio, to be #1 hits. And Kenny, if somebody's got a better beat than what you're playing, you play it. And all you guys don't own your instruments. We all play each other's instruments. I need hits. I need ideas. And walked out of the room. I remember thinking, what a jerk. That's, his delivery was kind of a little bit, But I look back now and I go like, damn, where did he learn that shit? That's like, Bill Belichick type of shit coaching, the Patriots. I mean, just really, that was deep shit. Like I said, his delivery sucked. But he was right, man. Because, I ask drummers this all the time, and they never get it right. I could ask 1,000 drummers. And the question is, what is your purpose when you're a session drummer on a session?
I would say to make that song sound great.
Okay, you're close.
Okay.
To make that song be a #1 hit single on the radio. That's all our goal. What can I do? What can I not do? What can I say? How do I motivate? What is my role in a studio to make that song get on a record that eventually becomes a #1 hit single? If you know where your goal is, then every move you make will be guiding towards that. It gets deeper than that. It's like, because you basically it's not about me, it's about the song. Serve the song, serve the artist. How can I be the best John Mellencamp drummer? How can I be the best Bob Seger drummer? Whoever I'm in the studio with, how can I be the best drummer for their music to get it on the radio, be #1? Because back in the day when you sold records, if you, like Jack and Diane, John's biggest #1 hit single, I mean, that made millions of dollars. That song is still being played on the radio almost 40 years later. And it's one of the biggest air drum solos. I came up with that thinking I was this close to getting fired again. So I came up with it. I was basically in that fight or fight mode, do or die situation. I was going to save the song, save my career. Save the song, save the career. And I had finally learned it ain't about me, it's about we, the song, John's music. And now I realize, really want to talk about being like a team player. Man, if I play great and the bass player and the guitar player don't play great, that's not good. that could keep the song from getting on the record. So I look at it like, I care about you, I care about me, I care about you, I care about you, I care about the engineer. I'm there to help make this song be great. So if I think a bass player could use some ideas or something, or I can motivate him, not even with ideas, just with spirit.
Okay.
That's really the ultimate teamwork. That's the whole high level. Like, I want you to like me, and I want to like you, and together we're going to make greatness. That's how teams win Super Bowls. That's how teams win World Cups and Stanley Cups and NBA titles and World Series. It ain't the individuals.
Right.
And so, yeah, you hear like the great coaches of any athletic team, they're all about not just your skill, but all this teamwork and
right.
really, hey, you know,
how we're putting this whole thing together. Right.
That's the deepest level. And so I speak about that and I learned it though. I mean, I learned it in my life and now I speak about it.
And so when you're in a session, all that stuff is present in your mind. That's part of your whole game plan. Your goal.
Yeah, well,
that's what you're shooting for. Not just getting through this song.
Right.
It's much deeper than that, much broader than that.
It's just that I've done it so much, it's like peeling an onion. You keep learning more every time you peel back. Like I was doing a session in my studio. These guys flew from Germany. They were really successful as a band in the 70s. As a matter of fact, they came here and were on tour with Leonard Skinner and were supposed to be on the plane with them when they crashed. But they had to do a press thing in Atlanta. Yeah. Anyway, this guy, the keyboard player became this big, successful writer for movies, and he's done very, very well. But they wanted to come back. They're in their 70s. They wanted to do one more record. It was really good stuff, incredible vocals and stuff. When I'm in that session, I remember my engineer was like making suggestions, and I'm like, no. The first song I record with an artist, I'm studying them to see what they really want from me. It's like when someone says, just do whatever you want, they don't mean that. When I get a song, I write every single note out. They have a demo, and I write every note out. Because they've been living. Why would this guy program something he hated?
Right.
He obviously liked it. So I know that. So I write everything out exactly and play it note for note, the way it was programmed. And then my next thing is to study how much he wants me to how many fills. Like I'll start doing Kenny, just do your own things. I start doing it. As I'm doing it and I listen to him talk to me on the playback, I'm studying how much he really wanted me to do my own thing.
Uh-huh.
So when the engineer is starting to say, well, why don't you try that? I'm like, stop. This is right now I'm trying to study this guy to get this relationship on the first song, because then I'll apply that to all the other songs. So it's like I'm not just the drummer anymore. I'm studying what this guy's musical desires are.
Okay.
And so, like for example, I do a song and he wanted me to do more fills, and I did. Then he came in and he said, okay, we got fills. I want you to play very, very little fills. And I started to understand that's really what he wanted. Only a few fills. He really wanted my feel, my energy, my sound, but those parts. Okay. And this is what I'm trying to figure out so that I can get him what he wants quickly. And personally, at this point, I like to move fast. If I can do 11 songs in one day, I'll do it. So I like to prep. I like to practice. Because I have my own studio, I can do that. All I have to do is play a song 3 times or whatever it took. There were some little tricky things I had to do on another session. And, I'll just stay there and practice until I know that the next day I walk in, I can just perform. So that's what I'm doing. That's the level I'm at now. I'm really trying to serve and figure out what is going on. Who am I working with? It's the first time I met him. Now I'm playing their music.
Right. I have been watching you since, I think the first time I saw you was in 1987. But I've been watching you very closely. And, I've come to see you many, many times. And I see very few drummers who continually get better all the time. And that's something I've noticed with you. Sometimes people they'll branch out and to new kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I consistently see you continuing to raise your own bar.
That's good.
The last thing I noticed was a whole shift to really emphasizing your hi-hat. Your hi-hat, you're always playing great, but it's just like you go from this great and then you keep narrowing it down. And so that minor evolution to getting really articulate with your hi-hat has raised the whole bar of what you're doing.
It's a compliment to you that you were that aware, because you ask a drummer most of the time, what's the most important part of your kit, and it's kick drum or snare drum.
Right.
But the hi-hat is the most important part to me, unless I'm playing the ride cymbal. The whole point is the hi-hat or the ride cymbal is the timekeeper. It's the click track. And I have to lock my snare drum and kick drum to that. I usually put the kick drum right on the hi-hat. Snare drum, usually I start with that, but sometimes I push it ahead or a little behind, but it gets deeper than that. So this is my world, getting a balance between kick, snare, and hi-hat. But the hi-hat is the driving, it's a click track. But now, rhythm guitar. Rhythm guitar, and I have to be locked up. That's the hi-hat and snare drum. When those two things are in sync, you got a band.
Yeah.
Everybody else can just fall wherever they want. I'm telling you, it's a rhythm guitar and the hi-hat.
I'm glad you said that.
Have to lock up. I mean, because once my hi-hat locks up, or they lock up with my hi-hat, I've already got my snare drum and kick drum locked up to the hi-hat. The hi-hat is the glue between me and the band, and that rhythm guitar. Just because you play guitar doesn't mean you play rhythm guitar good. You could play killer solos, but rhythm guitar is an art form. But the best bands have great rhythm guitar players, and they lock up with the drummer. And that's you're noticing what I've really been putting focus on.
Oh, good. Believe me, you're focusing on it, and it's very apparent.
I have a phrase that goes like this. It's like, I'll never be as great as I want to be, but I'm willing to spend the rest of my life trying to be as great as I can be. So you're witnessing me, I call myself Tom Brady. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way. I just mean that Tom Brady's, he's won 7 Super Bowls out of 10 times in the Super Bowl. So he's been to 10 Super Bowls and won 7. Now, like him or not, nobody's done that.
Right.
And it's because he is a lifestyle. He's not just a football player. Brady is a lifestyle. I was talking about this to you in the car. I mean, this guy, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, is living a certain way 365 days a year. It just so happens his business is football. So he puts this whole approach into being the great football player, what he eats, how he exercises, how he trains, how he thinks, everything, before he even walks on the field.
Right.
Then when he walks on the field, I call this the second part, which is adapt or die. He gets at the line. He's reading that defense is going to try to mess him up. It's adapt or die. In other words, in life, we can't count on things being what we want them to be all the time. And your ability to adapt, in his case, when the ball's hiked, all of a sudden the defense is set up this way, and then they switch to that. Or, the guys on the line go back. They're not blitzing, or the guys on the back come in. They are blitzing, and, they're trying to mess with each other. It's adapting or die, because life is never going to be exact. Things change. And if you can roll with that, and
just
keep
like we're talking
trying,
about accepting things, same sort of thing.
Yeah, then you're going to enjoy life more. And if this I talk about this when I speak, but realizing your purpose in life, your deepest desires, your truth, your passion, whatever you want to call it. Like, who are you? If I could walk out, I don't swear when I give speeches, but I would love to walk out and go like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? What are you doing? I mean, what are you doing? You got, if you're lucky, 90 years. So I'm asking, what the fuck are you doing? Because what I want to tell you, you better find out what you're crazy about inside here and just do that. Because otherwise you're wasting your time. Or you're going to eventually come to that. Or you're going to, when you live by your purpose or your desires or what you're really great at, what you're here to do, you'll be unstoppable. I can't even stop myself. Talk about, I can't wait to wake up to do what I'm doing. I don't want to turn the lights off at night because I still love what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
So when you're living like that, which you're living your life like that, you're unstoppable, you're undeniable, and you're completely authentic. I like to be around authentic people. You're not trying to be something. You are that person. Tom Brady's that guy.
Yeah.
That's my point.
You know what? I think that's a good point. Being authentic just goes a long way. Yeah.
It's being you.
And then you're not getting in your own way. And you almost can't help but go where you're supposed to go, where your heart is.
Yeah.
If you're being authentic, if you're not, right, you're going to be off on tangents trying to keep your fronts up. And if you're being authentic, you almost cannot help but go there.
People tend to get in the way of themselves.
Yeah.
We get in the way of ourselves.
No,
I do it all the time.
I absolutely agree. And then hopefully you can see yourself, you can catch yourself.
Yeah.
Shooting yourself in the foot, or you do it enough times that you
my thing,
realize that
you have this thing. You're trying to make a decision. You say, do this or do that. If there's a struggle, it's because you really are already clear what you want to do, but your brain is getting in the way. You're thinking, but I really should do that. That struggle is because you really know what you want to do.
That's once again, you're a little further ahead of that conversation. We're talking about that earlier than I am, but I'm on that
trajectory.
That track. Yes, but yeah, that's exactly it. Well, Kenny, we could probably keep you up all night here.
Yeah, I can. And I can talk.
Yeah, he can. But
it's like 2 a.m. I have a thing.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And
we'll just do it again. We could maybe call it the Don and Kenny show someday.
Yeah, Don and Kenny. But it would end up being the Kenny and Don show.
What sounds
start
better?
out that way. See, Kenny and Don. I don't know.
Don and Kenny. I like Don and Kenny. That's good.